Have you seen children like mine who have been successful? Do you think there is future? Will my child complete 10th grade? Will my child be independent?
And what will happen after us?
In India, it's said that maximum families go broke or bankrupt because of one medical event.
Most of the parents need that space where somebody listens to them, and then we slowly talk about what are the strengths of the child, what are some moments where they have seen their child and they have felt extremely happy that it's my child.
If a child is neurodivergent, one person has to take a backseat, mother, father, anybody, and because of that their career goals kind of get impacted. Who spends the maximum time with the child, the father or the mother? The child is giving instructions, bullying the parent and giving a tough time because the child is pampered.
Parents come with very difficult situation, and then we kind of facilitate this program. After 6 months that would have gone away, but then we don't talk about it at all, and then there will be a next thing that we are talking about, don't Google, don't ChatGPT, see what works for your child. Oftentimes there are only 2-3 things that works for each child. If we know what works for the child, you just have to repeat it. It's very simple.
Tell me something, what exactly Elina services do?
So, we at Elina Services basically try to bring together what is required for the child. So, whenever we think of a child and raising a child, it's not often a battle that only a parent fights, right? So it's an experience that comes together as a society, as a village, as a team. So we are basically wanting to bring together that team, and obviously the parents are having to lead it. Oftentimes it's also it turns into a burden. So we want to ease that burden off, give the parents the necessary empowerment, and also to ensure that the time, money, energy, whatever is being put in by the parents as well as the team is converging and it's not diverging. So that's what we do.
It was a very definition kind of an answer, but if I have to simplify it, can I say that you are empowering parents so much so that they can take care of the children who are on the spectrum?
Yes, so we basically work with children who are neurodivergent, which means autism, ADHD and learning disabilities. And yes, like you said, we are empowering the parents to take care of their children who may be divergent.
Superb. And tell me, how has the journey been so far? What are the challenges which you have currently faced? And typically the parents, if I am asking, typically who are looking for your services, what is that type of parents typically that become your clients, or you can say they are the ones who take your services?
So the journey, I think, has been very satisfying so far.
Super.
So personally, it's been very satisfying so far because it's very individual. It's a child, their family, and their team. So it's been quite satisfactory. Challenges will be there. I think anything will have challenges. So our challenges initially was to basically articulate what we do, because we are not a center, we are not a school, we are not a therapy unit. So it's very difficult to articulate what we do. It was very difficult to articulate what we do as we started this, because this is something subtle that we are trying to do. We are trying to empower the parents. So when a parent comes with the child and they want to address what their child is going through, nobody thinks about what I want. But ultimately, only if you wear your oxygen mask, you can support your child. So it's like we have to bring that realization to parents sometimes, so that was our difficulty.
So typically, what is the mood of parents? What is their emotional, how are they coming to you? In what emotional state are the parents when they first meet you?
I mean, it's different, I should say. Different parents come with different, moods.
Yeah,
so let's say everybody comes with normally stressed, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I'm asking. So what is stress around?
So it's I would probably compare it to the grief cycle. Unfortunately, I'm having to compare it to the grief cycle. So sometimes they come with a denial, why me? So that is the denial that comes.
It's all fate. Why did God do this to me?
Yeah, and then it's anger, and then it's like that giving up or something like that, and then it comes to realization, then acceptance. So it's that cycle. So it's if you want to particularly say mood, it can be any of this, like the emotions attached to any of this. So it can be anger, it can be depression, it can be like she said, I think stressed. It can be anxiety, like what's there in the future? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? So that's something. Or it can even be helplessness. So if we see helplessness, we act quickly. So helplessness is not the right place to be. So these are all different modes that we can definitely work with the parents. We are working with the parents, but helplessness is something that we take a very quick action.
Have you in your experience ever confronted parent taking any kind of extreme steps whereby they literally shared with you? I mean, it's absolutely fine. You're on the camera and you can prefer not to answer this question, but
No, actually, we have not come across anybody who has taken anything extreme. No.
Just to add on to her previous point as well, maybe it answers this question also. Like parents come to us in different stages. Like some come for the initial stages.
what are the typical stages if you can?
No, not stages in the sense when somebody would notice a difference in the child or deviation, maybe the school or a neighbor or a relative, and someone would have referred Elina, and they come to us. Assessment itself for the first time. So they wouldn't know what the assessment process is, different types of assessment. So we do a kind of functional assessment, which is different from the diagnostic assessment, not giving labels. So because the giving labels itself causes that stress. So that first kind of parent will have a lot of questions from us. So but when the parents have gone through 2 to 3 rounds of assessments, they come with what's there going to be new in this process. No, we have already told our case history, everything, all the details. So what new are you going to offer? So we need to kind of strike a balance between the first meeting of us focuses on that. Like as you ask the levels, as we go through the meeting, we find out where the parent is actually. Like, are they done through this process? What are they looking at differently? And where do we have to pitch in? So we don't necessarily repeat the same questions again and again, which gives them stress and go through the process.
So what are the questions where typically parents feel stressed out on? Have anybody shared with you?
Have you seen children like mine who have been successful? Do you think there is future? Will my child complete 10th grade? Will my child be independent?
And what will happen after us?
That's
That's
the
the main
ultimate
thing.
question. Yeah.
Maybe not in all the conditions which are mild or something like that, but when it is severe and profound, definitely this question comes.
So how do you empower parents who have typically these questions? Because I think independent and what will happen after us, these are, I think, one of the two most primary, I would say, questions which I think every parent has, that what will happen after us, what will happen after us. And because of that, this particular vicious cycle consumes them.
Correct.
So what are your interventions, and specifically if these kind of questions come to the parents who are already watching this podcast, what is the thought process? Because I think you do a lot of positive self-imaging also of the parent, right? Because somewhere down the line they have attached this entire cycle to their own life, and
Correct.
they're going the downward hill. So let's say I come to you, okay, and I say that I don't know, Rama, that what would happen. How will you console me?
So basically, most of the parents need that space where somebody listens to them. It's not like, you're targeting, like, when was your child born? What was the birth history? Like, was it a normal delivery? So it's basically like you give them some space to express first. So, and then we slowly talk about, like, what are the strengths of the child? Like, what are some moments where they have, seen their child and they have felt extremely happy that it's my child. And then we slowly talk about, like, what are the challenges? What's the topmost problem that is running through? And then we slowly get them into future. Like, let's imagine 10 years down the lane, what are you thinking about your child? Leave all the challenges that's now. 2 years down the lane, those challenges, we guarantee won't exist. Some other challenges may be there. But then, like, what is it that you feel as a parent instinctively after 10 years? Like, where do you see your child? Then what happens is, like, most of the time when parents come to us, especially during that first meeting, their problems are like that. So they can't see anything in the background. Like, they see only problems. So what we attempt is to kind of push this here so that, they're a little relaxed to see, okay, these things exist. So we need not worry so much about this problem. It's not that the problems are going to go away, or it's also not that we are going to give all the solutions to the problem.
But at least give you some time to recharge
Yeah,
yourself
because
so that
if
you
you
look at the problem.
Assure them that we have a support system.
Correct.
We try to bring in real life examples as well. No, this has happened, this has worked. So be assured that this will also work. So that kind of reassurance is what parents need.
So what is the major complaint which the child, and typically these parents, are they living with their in-laws or they're living independently as a nuclear family?
No, we have, again,
I'm sure that you do a lot of analysis.
Yes.
Yeah, you do, right?
Yes.
Because I am not stereotyping, I'm sorry to say. But I think people specifically from the down south, or you can say Bangalore, Chennai and all, these people look into the numbers very, very seriously, observe very, very seriously, because I would say that majority of the mental health, I would say that the conglomerations are set up in Bangalore, like Nimhans and VIT, and not VIT, Vellore CMC Vellore, and multiple other places where the work around the neurodiversity and mental health is actually happening. And I think there are recorded numbers also. So like in the conference that we had today, the one of the persons who was representing the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment was saying that in India the numbers are not trackable, or you can say traceable. But I think here I would say that the work is happening and there is certain amount of traceability, because the systems are, I would say, they work in a very systematic manner, if I have to say. So typically my question is that if there are nuclear families and vis-a-vis the joint families, how supportive care does a child, or you can say the parent, gets in a joint family vis-a-vis the nuclear family?
it's very difficult to answer that question because it cannot be generalized. But what we do is to customize that, in the sense, like when we have that conversation, the first conversation, we can clearly place where the stress comes from.
How to do that?
So basically, when we talk about, like, generally the family, what is your background? So we generally talk like how you talk to us, like, what are you doing? Like, what is your hobby? How did you start? So it's not like a regular assessment where you say, okay, this. So it's a regular informal conversation that we have with that. Then we also understand the stressors, or the opportunities that are available for them. Like you rightly mentioned, like if it's a joint family, sometimes the opportunities can be more. Like some things that can be done, say at a therapy center, can be facilitated at home, as a feeling that we get. So then when we go to the stage where we have to recommend certain things, we'll have this in mind. Whereas sometimes what we also feel is that the same joint family is a stressor for the parent because of many reasons. Like every family is different.
Can you name a few of the stressors in a joint family typically?
You want to? Yeah, go ahead.
So if we can say the parent wants to do a particular thing for the child, and he or she has to be empowered to take the decision. Just a simple decision of taking to a class, or I'm going to do something different for the child, which has not happened in the family before. So that kind of freedom should be there in the family, not going and asking permission with everyone, explaining. So basically the family has to have trust in whatever the parent does. So what happens if the trust is not built? The parents will feel down. Like, we cannot go for external.
Can you give an example? Because you have diplomatically answered this question. Give me an example.
No, it's like...
give an example, and that can be an imaginary example. It's absolutely fine.
It's like, for example, we have a child with ADHD. The child cannot have sweet or sugar. But, the grandparents, the parents will leave for work and then they'll be fed with all the sweets and things. So it can be as simple as that.
Screen time as well.
Screen time.
So typically, what does the brain go through if a child with ADHD consumes sweet or watches a digital screen? Typically, what happens in the brain, and typically in how many hours does it come to a normal state where the child is ill? No, it doesn't come.
No, it's just the empty calories. Whatever we are giving, there is no nutrient in this.
Okay.
So that's what it's taking a lot of, because the energy builds up, and if there is no way to channelize that energy in a proper way, in a sports or whatever it is, it turns into behavior.
So you recommend sports to be a part of?
Absolutely.
Okay.
For everyone.
For
not
everyone.
just for neurodivergent community, for everyone.
And for children who are neurodivergent, it is a must.
For must.
Yeah.
It's a must.
How many hours in a day?
1 to 2 hours.
Yeah, maximum 2 hours, minimum 1 hour. And
2 hours. They can handle.
And what are the kind of exercises one should do?
swimming, skating, some maybe individual athletics or gymnastic kind of time. It depends, like, no.
What is the science behind 2 hours, if you can explain?
No, nothing specific.
But you have
see,
seen
can
good
also-
results around 2 hours.
Is the consistency. Initial half an hour to 45 minutes, they'll be into warm-up sessions where they'll be using the entire body. Because swimming, we know it's a full body exercise. No, we have to train our whole body into that. And it also differs. Like, some can be 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. So we can split it up based on the logistics and everything. But it's a complete flow. We end up with a warm. So ideally, the swimming session will be for 45 minutes to 1 hour. But starts with a warm-up, swimming, then end with a cool down.
So again, this is confusing me slightly, and maybe you can clear my confusion.
No,
because now
let me also try to add something before you
Yeah,
go to
sure,
the next
sure,
question.
sure.
So it's like, for example, the child has to be in the school for at least 5 hours. So the child has to listen, concentrate. So in order for the child to concentrate, let's say 1 hour in the morning, if the child is able to spend the energy in a very productive way, there is a chance that he or she is able to, high chance that he or she is able to stay focused, say about 30 to 40% more.
Can I share something? I am an undiagnosed ADHD,
Uh-huh.
and I was only good. I got very good in studies, typically after 8th standard, because till 7th standard I was not playing much, and I think after 8th standard I used to play. I used to play that then also, but I did not know any focus area. But again, the moment I started playing in the mornings, so like there was a 0 period, and I was in a basketball team.
Great.
So there was a time in the 0 period for 1 hour we used to run. And after that, when we were almost tired, about to die,
Then
our coach used to ask us to play. And after playing, we were so tired that anything which was given to us, we had 100% focus.
Exactly.
That's the science.
That's a science.
And there's a book by John R. Ratey by the name Spark. That guy actually talked about how education, or you can say how the marks are directly have a correlation with the sports or anything which you play in the morning.
Correct.
Because he typically does running for all the students for almost, where the heartbeat is almost 140 beats per minute.
Correct.
And he used to do that, and he took a project for almost 10 years. He said that I'm going to be behind the students till 10 years. And the reports after 10 years was phenomenal, because in that era, the entire university, the best university was that only. And you must read that book, by the way.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, you absolutely bang on, because I totally understand where you're coming from. So
Similarly, I'll finish there.
Yeah,
So the physical activity in the evening is important because most of the children who are neurodivergent have sleep issues and anxiety. So the anxiety levels come down and they're able to sleep well so it's a cycle. So you sleep well, obviously you'll eat well, obviously you will play well, obviously you will focus.
I totally relate to you.
That's
I
the
go
rhythm to it, right?
There is a rhythm.
I don't know. I'm it's like I go to the gym in the morning, then I go and play basketball in the evening, and that day I get amazing sleep. So I don't know whether I'm actually on the spectrum or not.
It relates to whatever you asked. Like, you have answered the same. You were asking about. I lost the question.
Asking about physical activity and its correlation. Like what is the point behind 2 hours?
Yes. So it depends upon the need of the child, right? If the child is not able to sit in the classroom and is not able to attend to it, then morning exercise is going to be beneficial. And as she said, towards the evening, you have to calm down. So this is the routine that you have set for yourself, and it is working perfectly fine. And so this routine is already there without any medication, without any, like normal daily food and everything. We add sugar to it. Added sugar, which is of no use. It's not going to give the child anything. We're going to give screen, unless it is
Again, zero calories to the brain.
So it's going to increase the level of activity. So we need to work more in order to bring it down.
So how do you look at screen time versus creating videos on the screen? I mean, using the camera. I mean, if you consider it as a creative form, let's say if a person is recording videos, because consumption, obviously you're consuming, but when you're creating, does the brain, or you can say the mind, functions differently, or you can say, or is one of the same thing? I just want to know your views.
Screen time, generally, we would like to be interactive. If it's a two-way process, it's good.
It's good, superb.
So to start with, like, it's a very basic thing. It depends upon the profession we are in, what we are trying to do. Even the worksheets that we are talking about, whatever we engage, it has to be two-way. There has to be communication from the child as well as from. If it's going to be just screen time watching the cartoon, definitely it's going to have a negative effect.
And the other point to note regarding the screen time is also about how screens kind of take away one dimension. Like when you experience, like say when you play, when you touch something, the brain gets inputs from 3 dimensions. So when it's screen, it's 2-dimensional. So you're basically losing out a dimension, and it kind of increases your the pace at which you process information. So we were talking about it yesterday also, like how we are increasingly seeing teenagers ideating very beautiful things. Like their ideas are superb. Like we even think like that. But then when it comes to implementation, they're not able to think because they're not used to it. They're not they're not able to estimate the effort, the time, or anything like that, because they don't know how the ideas can be implemented or put to use. So when that happens, they get frustrated. So it's like the screen time has exponentially increased your capacity to do things cognitively, but your other areas, say emotions or motor or social, have not been able to catch up.
Okay.
So that mismatch or that gap is causing a lot of issues.
What are the issues, if you can name?
Like I told you, they're getting frustrated, so they're thinking a lot without understanding how it's actually how it can be really put to use. So most of these happens only when they become teenagers, because that's the time when you're basically feeling that you are an individual. You form your self identity. There are a lot of things that you want to do, establish yourself, and then you see that I'm thinking so much, and then obviously the human tendency will be to blame others. Nobody is supporting me. I am alone. I don't have friends. So the repercussions will be mostly mental health issues, or at least diagnosed or seen as mental health issues, where it can be depression, it can be anxiety, it can be whatever. So it's important that it's okay to have screen, but like she said, there should be one more component to it that we add. Like it can be motor, it can be emotion, it can be social. So there has to be one more component added to it along with the screen. So that the missing dimension, we cannot compensate, but unfortunately we are in a generation or a era where we can't escape screens. So we have to be conscious about it. So what we all probably as a generation got, as a natural way of living life, today we are having to design, curate, whatever name you give that. So unfortunately we are having to do that in our programs that we do. So we this is what we do every day. We actually design
give
something.
a schedule for eating,
Yeah.
or the menu. We have designed.
We have design. So we do
It's so natural, right?
Correct.
And previously also, when we used to have DD as the only channel, maybe we watched it as a family. There will not be multiple TVs in the same house, right? So we used to talk, we discuss about what is happening on TV. Right now, each one has a separate screen. If whatever is running on the TV is not okay for me, immediately I take a mobile and watch. So that's what she said, is adding that social component, communication component, is you can watch the same thing, have a conversation, like just a general
So
conversation.
the empathy level has gone remarkably down.
Yeah, I mean, we are not even getting there.
We're not even getting.
We are not even getting there. It's even before that. It's like
At
we
what level
typically typically design something called routine builder. So we say this is a routine that you may have to follow, and the parents choose which routines they are working on and how
We
much.
have a combination of routines.
Yeah, we have a combination.
Ideal, there will be many factors. So
Correct.
based on their lifestyle,
Their age.
they can choose. Yeah, age, level of support that the child needs, and all those things.
So again, I had a previous question which I wanted to ask. Now I'll ask you. So typically, Elina, is it I would say a special education, an occupational therapy, a therapy center, or is it a mix of the best practices? I mean, how do you identify? Because I think you are putting physical activities. Normally, I never see any center or therapy center, because they say that come for therapy, come and do this for 1 hour 45 minutes, and your child will be fine. But when the child is not doing the way, I would say there's no progress, then the OT guy or the special ed or anybody, they will blame it on the parents that you guys are not doing anything. So it's a very easy, like there's a win-win for them.
Yeah.
So how do you track the progress? What are your progress parameters specifically that you actually tell the report card, see, your child was not able to do this. Now after 3 months he's able to do this. Do you know this?
So we have a program called Compass. So the first process is the SAIL, which is the assessment. As we already mentioned, it's a functional assessment. So we take into consideration the strength as well as the areas to be worked on. So we never focus only on the areas to be worked on. We want the strengths to be the foundation and be used in all the areas and then use it. So at the end of it, we give the report. So using that as a base, we go into the next step called as the compass, where whatever you ask us, tracking happens. So it is implemented in 2 phases, where in the first phase, we give a detailed program plan. Like as you said, OT will be, if a child needs OT, speech therapy or physical education. So we'll be putting that in recommendation. So we'll also give them what all has to be addressed based on our understanding of the assessment. Maybe a different person assesses, there'll be different outcomes, but there'll be some priorities. We cannot address everything at the same time. But there'll be 4 to 5 priority areas that has to be immediately addressed. For example, if it's an ADHD child, physical education is going to be the priority, because unless you intervene there, you cannot work on the academics or something like that. So along with that, maybe the diet, the routine. So all these priorities will be taken, given in the program plan. We'll refer a set of qualified professionals who are from our network and are known to us. So
the program plan is also made in consultation with the professionals as well. It's not entirely curated by us. So we make the initial draft and then we discuss with them.
You have psychologists and psychiatrists on your panel?
Yes. So we are a network of therapists, whomever you listed, and then psychologists, psychiatrists, art-based therapists, play therapists, doctors, and
special education.
Special eds. Okay, so that's a pretty big nexus, I must say.
Yeah, because you can't, like I told you, you need a city.
You need a city to raise a child. Yes. Your family in order to raise a child.
Yeah, and of course the family.
Yeah.
So it's important that everybody, like you rightly said, the parents are there. You need therapy, but for what? What should I expect? And like she said, we're only looking for 6 months. So can I take only this? So you should not feel overwhelmed as a parent, right? So it should be more of like, okay, for 6 months, I'm only going to work on these 3 things. It's not that I'm going to stop everything and then I'm going to only do this. It's just that, say for example, we actually have something called the consistency goal for parents. So like how every therapist take some goal or something like that. We ask the parents to take up some goal and we call it as consistency goal, so that, which means that they have to do every day. It can be as simple as I'll ask my child to take the plate to the sink every day after dinner. So you can be sick. You can have a horrible day at work. You should ensure that the child takes the plate to the sink. It's the only thing that you have to be careful, give importance to. All other things, today I'm not able to do it. Let me sit back. It's fine. But in 10 days, you will not have to go and tell your child to, take the plate to the sink. It would have been there. So similarly, it's like that domino effect. You just have to, because when you have everything on the, even feel like eating. That's what happens for parents. We are having to juggle between 100 things and we feel consistently guilty that, I didn't address that, I didn't address this. Tomorrow I have to take this up. So this is not something
that... Do you address this guilt also of the parents?
Of course, yes.
Okay. So why I'm asking this question, because that most of the parents, so I think if a child is neurodivergent, one person has to take a back seat.
Correct.
Mother, father, anybody.
Correct.
And because of that, their career goals kind of get impacted. So how do you ensure that because I think you are into the empowerment space first for the parents and then for the child, because I think if I have to speak in a very different, I would say that in a way where you can say that if the parents are feeling very confident and energetic, that energy will get
absolutely
transferred to the child.
And we say this explicitly to the parents.
Yes.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. So typically, if a child or if a parent, mothers, most of the parents, in fact, my audience is mostly mothers, and typically they're new mothers, and normally they are first of all in a shock state.
Correct.
Secondly, they don't know whether to focus on the career or not, because they think that ab to ye lifelong karna hai. This has to be. What is your message to them? Because how do they manage the career, or they do something? Because normally what happens is that if you give up your career or if you don't do anything, over a period of time you will say that I've wasted my life.
Correct.
Right. So what is your plan for the parents, specifically those who want to empower the child? Because why I'm asking this, because the therapies, for example, even you are charging money, right?
Correct.
And I'm sure that, if you are creating some valuable services for the child, naturally the parent will also think that let me also pay and let me continue these services. For that we need money.
Very.
Because in India, it's said that maximum medical emergencies, specifically around 27% of the families go broke or bankrupt because of one medical emergency. I'll consider into not medical emergency, but I will say that I'll consider where families go off and on
Correct.
in a bankruptcy state because any therapy can come anytime. So my question is that how do you what's your plan, or you can say what is the message for those parents? How do you empower them to do something?
My usual reference for myself as well as for any parent will be the metaphor of an emotional cup. So an emotional cup is a cup basically with holes. So there is something that you fill the cup with, and consistently there are things that will be leaked out of the cups as well. So your first thing is to identify what fills your cup and which is the biggest hole that you can address first. So let's say for me, my job is something that fills the cup. I don't have to leave it. But for somebody else, the job is something that leaks out their emotional cup, and say they're passionate about art or they're passionate about dance. Then do that. It's okay if you leave the job. So it's like, see, ultimately what we want is parents' energy, like you rightly mentioned, and that's what we want it to be, transferred to the child. So when my job is my filler and I'm quitting it, obviously I'll feel guilt. Nobody else can heal it for me because that's what is filling my cup, and you're cutting it off, which means I'm consistently my cup is leaking. Whereas like for somebody else, let's say the job is something that is not a filler, that person may not feel the guilt. So it's for you to identify if your job is your filler or your, the cup, the hole that is being leaked. So then nobody has to guide you on that. Then guilt is not in the picture.
Guilt is not in the picture. You had something to add to this?
Yeah, I would look at a perspective of, like, rather than being at home the whole day and worrying about even having the child with you and not being in an active present state, it's a total waste, right? Even if you spend 1 hour or 2 hours with the child after coming back from work, that 2 hours is totally dedicated to your child. Nothing else happens. Don't have your phone with you. Nothing else. The 2 hours is more than enough. I'm just saying 2 hours just for, ideal to us. Maybe it can be doing a homework or watching a story, like reading a book, doing artwork, whatever it can be. But that time is for the child. So that what will happen is when you're in the office, you'll be constantly thinking about your child. When you're here, you'll be thinking about the office, and there's no point in that. So it's up for, personally, I feel it's up to the parent to decide, because there are logistics, as you said, the financial reasons are there where both the parents have to go to work to do this, but find the option of having a part-time job, something like that where you can balance both. So there are a lot of options available. But if it's child time, let's not compromise.
Who spends the maximum time with the child, the father or the mother? Or what is the best balance where, the child gets the maximum from both the parents?
Yeah.
Split.
I'm going to ask you a question, to answer that. So, you're a parent, we're all parents. So, typically, how many percentage of our interaction with the child is a conversation, and how many percentage is instruction?
Oh, instruction and conversation.
Yeah, difference between.
Oh, okay. Let me just think. Okay, so if you're talking about a conversation, then I think it is roughly around out of 100%, right? I think around 20 to 30%. And if you're talking about an instruction, it is around 60 to 70%.
85%.
85%, okay.
So, I think that's what we are trying to flip. So, it doesn't matter how long, but how much ever time you spend, let's say half an hour, how much out of the half an hour have you actually conversed with your child? Even if you're not conversing, you can be at silence and hug the child also is fine. Don't give instructions.
Non-verbal.
It can be, however you connect with your child.
Yeah, just being there to tell that I'm there for you. Constantly not saying that do this, do that, and all those things. Just connect over something.
So, I think it's about saying, the typical question we ask our child, at school mein kya hua? So, that is something that you don't have to know.
How do you change?
Just ask, what happened in my office today? While coming back, I got really pissed off by this.
Oh.
Do you relate it to this? Do you get angry when you do this? Things like this. So normally, it's I don't know if it's a culture or.
Give me a few examples. Because this is something which I think a lot of unknowingly we do, because it is coming from generations.
Yeah.
It is coming from generations that, because we have been asked these questions.
Exactly.
And the parents also
in
keep
school?
worrying that my child is not able to answer all these questions when I ask, because we are not doing the right thing and asking the children to answer those things.
And if the child has to share or wants to share, you don't have to ask. He or she will come and share anyway. So I think that, and we think that only if I ask the child is going to share. It's not like that.
If they have that emotional connect, you will get the information.
Correct.
Not just verbally, as you said. It need not be verbal.
Need
Can
not
be
be quick.
physical. Just coming and sitting, maybe they'll be in a room, suddenly coming and sitting next to you is a sign that they need you. So these are subtle things which we can understand only when there is less noise around us. When we ourselves are in a world of noise and distracted in our own world, we'll not be able to notice these subtle things. So general parenting.
Correct.
There's no manual.
And also, I think, like you rightly asked, it's a culture. Like you rightly said, as if the parents are perfect people. None
Our
of
parents are considered God.
God. Yeah. So we have to break that. Like, we do make mistakes. Say sorry. Say that I made this mistake. I apologize to somebody else. And say that today I was appreciated because I did this so. You don't have to show an award. Like, you can just say today I felt happy because somebody appreciated me for what I did. So these are things that, so if you don't have to give instruction, then you share. And that's not in our culture, unfortunately. And the other thing is to be explicit about our emotions. It's not in our culture as well. Like some families do, but most families in India, they're not explicit about their emotions.
About expressing their vulnerabilities.
Not only vulnerable.
And
Just
also
saying.
just to have a normal conversation.
Correct.
No, just I'm feeling happy,
Yeah.
excited, sad, angry. No, they want to
You guys do every time you go to the house?
most of the time.
Yeah.
We are also not ideal, so
Yeah, we do. I mean, when you're conscious, you're able to do it. So that is something. Like there are obviously we are also imperfect.
There is
So
this book by Dr. Shefali Sabri by the name Conscious Parenting.
Right.
I don't know whether I've read it or not.
Right, yeah,
I've
yeah.
also not read it, but the title,
Heard.
because you're talking about conscious parenting itself, is a...
Correct.
something has to be a habit in ourselves. Then only we can tell others so much confidently, right? Generally, one habit is we apologize. That I consciously know. Even if I shout in anger, that moment will pass and I will go and apologize. But maybe the intensity of the situation requires some more time in some cases. But generally, if the mistake is on my side, I do
How do you deal when the mistake is on the other side? Let's say the child is giving instructions, bullying the parent, and giving a tough time because the child is pampered.
No, set a boundary. See, sometimes you have to be a parent. I'm not saying that, you have to be all friendly, whatever. So you have to be a parent. Sometimes you have to say no. The child should know that, okay. And the definition of no is a major thing. Like, sometimes the no means okay. Sometimes the no means yes. Sometimes no means it's my no versus mummy's no or a grandfather's no. So it's like very important for the child to understand no means no. So that is the boundary that we need to set.
So my father typically followed the principle that spare the rod and the child will be spoiled. And I think in my childhood, for that matter, people who are born with me, everybody has gotten beaten
Correct.
by parents, okay? Because we did. And we have been, there was no therapy during that time. But we are just fine the way we are, okay? We are obedient. Today we love our parents. Even though they have beaten till like almost 18 years, 18, 19 years. I mean, madly. I would say that any frustration in the office, we used to come to us. Okay. And we are like, we have not even done anything, yet still we are getting beaten up.
Okay.
So, and we are the kids who are like, who are in love with our parents.
Right.
My father, if he had not slapped me that day, we are nostalgic about those slaps. We would have not been today. So, today, if you even shout at the child, how can you shout at me?
Correct.
Why did you shout it? So my question is that, do you follow, because again the times have changed, the kids have changed, the entire the neurochemistry of the I would say the parenting and the, it has changed. So what exactly is the solution? Because you get angry, you want to hit, but you can't. You want to shout, but you can't. What is the solution here?
No, it's not like you have a solution right away, but I think it's to understand the fundamental. Like, why did your father hit you? Because he wanted to set a boundary. Say that this is where you stay. That was his way of doing it probably. And like you rightly said, none of us want to beat our kids now. But the boundaries can still be drawn. Like it need not be, it is not that you can draw it only through, beating. And how I was explaining earlier, anger was probably the only emotion that was explicitly expressed, unfortunately. So, all the
strongest emotion.
Strongest, yes. And all the other emotions were very subtle, which you're able to kind of, express now, saying that my father and,
I trust me. every single time my friends they catch up and and then in little private and personal conversation that today whatever I am, whomsoever I am, my father had a very big role. And when you go back, reminisce the time where exactly happened, you go to the, and then there is an entire conversation which only talks about your father beat with my father beat me with this, and this is how we are talking about our scholarly achievements. I don't know whether it's common there now, but here
No, it was common. It was common. I think it was a generational thing.
yeah.
I mean, as parents of adults, what we can say now is that one thing that has definitely helped is giving that room for the child. So that is something like obviously we can't compare. So you're comparing apples and oranges, and you can't definitely derive a solution from how your parents did parenting versus how I'm doing parenting. So it's more about like what can be more workable for my child. So
Right.
in fact, the program that we do as the Compass program that Malini was explaining about is also about that. Like, don't Google, don't ChatGPT. See what works for your child. Oftentimes, there are only 2-3 things that works for each child. If we know what works for the child, you just have to repeat it. It's very simple.
So one part you're absolutely right. One part the parent listens that fine, I'll not do ChatGPT, but there is another section of the community which gives you some sort of a gyan,
Let them.
and they will try to, and then you're like, oh, let me try this, and then towards the end you end up wasting
You
time.
can try. There is nothing wrong in
Right.
trying until you find what works for my child. Once you find, okay, these are the 2 things that works for my child, let them say it. That's not, they're saying because they know. Even if we say sometimes, parents, even we say certain things, not everything you can follow. Like our recommendation report, normally it will have minimum of 80 to 90 strategies that can be followed for that child. And when we give that report, we explicitly say, all of this need not be followed. Choose 2 things. Even if 2 things work from this, good enough. Just follow that. So it's very important that you have things at hand, but you're very confident about, okay, this works for my child. That's what is the empowerment that we are talking about.
Superb. So, you have any resources, any book or any library which the parents who are watching this can look and understand? Because I think you're only doing the services based in Chennai. Anything for the parents, or you can say anybody who wants to access your services or the resources?
Right.
You have anything right now?
We are open. It's not that we work only in Chennai. So anybody from anywhere,
Really?
we are addressing parents from Germany and Coimbatore and anywhere actually. So we do our services online for parents. But when we have to roll out services for the child, we may have to see the child. So we have sometimes we facilitate a team in that particular city or place, so who can basically directly observe the child. But even otherwise, we are trying to see how that can be done as well. So parents can definitely reach out to us, and we'll be happy to speak with them. So that is one thing. And our website is a great resource. So that is another thing. But if you're talking about a library and, generically, when I'm not marketing, I would say the best library is your child. Observe your child. Spend time with your child. He or she is the best library. So I think that is where our work is currently, because we're all in a world where we are fast paced. So sometimes we need to pause. We need to understand who my child is. Some parents understand when we give it to them so even our reports go in 3 formats. So that, there are different parents. So parents who want details, parents who want just the gist, parents who want, a little bit of
Mix of both.
fancy
Diagrams.
pictures. Yeah. So even our reports are usually in 3 formats, so that our objective is for them to understand their child in any way, so that they can start off. Obviously, they are the best people who can understand any child. So we just want to bring that realization back to them.
So I think it's a very, very nicely done, because there is a concept in psychology by the name Johari window.
Yes, exactly.
And in that, there is a concept called the blind spot.
Yes.
Someone else
Unknown.
can see that,
Yes.
but the person who seems, for example, if I've eaten something and I know what is on my teeth, somebody who You can say that, see, there's something which is on the teeth.
Exactly.
Why don't you just remove it?
Correct.
So that is something which I would say is a blind spot which you don't see, you're not able to see, but somebody else who's actually seeing your entire situation can actually help you come out of this
In fact, that's the exact feedback that we have received from the 200 odd families that we have reached. So that's exactly what this is. It's not that we didn't know that, but when you said that, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah. You were asking about how do we track, monitor and everything, like how do we show the progress to the parents. So that is what the second part of Compass does. So if the parents want us to be one of the coordinators, so from our team, one of us who's a counselor or a special ed will be part of the team along with the parent. School, there will be a point of contact from school and whatever therapies the child is involved in. So we'll travel with the child for 6 months, ideally the parents. So each month, each week, we collect inputs from them, like as Rama was saying about routine builder. We get information on sleep, diet, such basic things, and to the behaviors, to the maximum. There is a range, and depending upon the child, we can customize that also. So after collecting all this information, we go for monthly meetings that is online with the parents. So every month we do this, and in the meantime, every 2 months we will see the child also. Because we are looking from a different angle, because of therapy, school, we'll be seeing the child on a daily basis. But for us, it will be new. After 2 months, we'll be able to see that change really. Like whatever the therapists are reporting, parents are reporting, are they really seen in the child? So that kind of direct observation we facilitate. So this journey continues till 6 months, and at the end, we'll be able to track the progress. We will literally see the parameters moving from one area to another. Whatever we had given in SWOT, strengths, stretches, we'll see like how many have added to the strengths, how many new have added to the stretches, that is also there. But it can be a developmental stage also, like it can be natural in the child's process. So for that, we have a system which tracks all these things and shares reports. And parents, there are many parents who have renewed our program for 4-5 times as well. So yeah, so that's kind of the process.
And to add on, just to make it a little more explicit, we have developed a technology platform which basically has, facilitates this kind of input from different stakeholders so that we can analyze and see, correlate, like, okay, today the child did not sleep well, or there were too many guests, and hence you see some kind of behavior somewhere else. Okay, it's manageable. For some children, we have even seen onset of sickness is triggering some behavior. So these kind of patterns we are able to see, correlate and act accordingly so that, we are able to bring some kind of progress in the skills that we have taken as well. So it's a close monitoring, but without affecting the everyday life. So we are just taking off that component from the parent and just showing the results in the sense that, see, we are on the right track. Or, you know what, we're not on the right track. And obviously it's a little bit of a commitment from the parents also. I mean, a lot of commitment from the parents where, they also have to take some kind of responsibility to ensure that they fill in the journal. It's the reflection that we actually facilitate. So some parents have even told, like, you're asking these questions that's making me feel guilty. I didn't do any social interaction today. It's okay, we are not going to force you to do that, but it has to be on the background. Like, I always quote quantum theory, wherever I go, because until you give attention to a particle, it's a wave. Only when you give attention, it's going to gain energy and vibrate. So that is all that we are doing. Give attention to it, you will see the difference.
Attention flows where energy goes.
Exactly.
Point of focus. And one thing which we have commonly seen is that when parents start doing it, children take over.
Correct.
That's a very common pattern that we are seeing. Like whatever be the age, like if it is followed consistently, we see that at one point parents automatically wean off and they don't even realize that the child is doing it independently. So that kind of initial effort or inertia is what we require from the parents, and the journey will continue.
And it'll be very funny to see that, parents come with very difficult situation and then we kind of facilitate this program after 6 months. That would have gone away. But then we don't talk about it at all, and then there will be a next thing that we are talking about. There is a next problem that is gaining that momentum, and it is a success for us because we are not talking about it anymore. And another indication is that usually we start our parent meetings at around 2.5 hours. Yeah. It's supposed to be 45 minutes, 1 hour. And then eventually by 6th month, after 50 minutes, we'll be like, okay, where are you going to plan for vacation? Will be the question. So that is our success, where we are able to talk about things outside what
is relevant, very specific.
Yeah.
So that's a very big breather if you're talking about vacations, because that is something which a lot of parents are not able to take care of.
Correct.
How
So
do
we're
you
not
encourage them
talking
to do
about
so?
the child's problem anymore. It's a major thing. So these are simple things that are going to. It's not like one new therapy that is going to come and help you. It's never that. It's often that, what can I do today that can give me that relief tomorrow is not the approach.
Parents are always fixing,
Correct.
trying to make it one fit. but
There is
never
no
accepting
fix,
it.
and there is no fixing, and there is no quick solution. It's a long-term solution, lasting change.
Lasting.
So that is what we need to look for, and it's also about the ripple effect. Small things, just focus on small things. Don't think of complicated. Don't complicate life. Is something that we try to. I mean, your child is given, so you can't change your child. So much so that you can't change yourself. Also, we are just trying to see how much of that equation we can bring in consciously.
So coexistence is
Coexistence.
nurturing the coexistence between the parent and the child so that they can evolve together.
Exactly. In fact, we tell the parents to have their social life because, like those days, like we were dragged to places where our parents wanted to. We were never asked permissions, like, do you want to come and all that, right? So, so nowadays the children are driving. Oh, this weekend you want to go to this mall? Then we'll go to that mall.
Yeah.
This weekend you want to go to beach? Then we'll go to beach. But that is not how it should be. You have your social life. They have to see how you, speak to a friend whom you don't like, or how you speak to a friend who you really like. So they observe your body language. They know, oh, there are so many subtleties. So they should come back and ask, like, why did you speak like this to this person and like this to that person? So those are observations that we have to give them opportunities to watch. So you live your life also while you're teaching your children how to live. It need not be child driven all the time just because you have a child who's neurodivergent.
So typically, how do you operate in schools? Because schools have a very, I would say that it's very curriculum driven.
Yeah, so typically when we go to schools, we go for that one child. So we don't go to them and ask them to change everything about, inclusion ka, there are 50 steps that you have to follow. Have you checked all of that? So that's not our objective. Our objective is very simple. What is it that you can do for this child? And also more than that, we want to give them that comfort, saying that this child is being taken care by the parents and this child takes help from so many other people. Because most of the time, like you rightly said, we have been telling this parent so many things. They're not taking this seriously, they have not taken the child to any therapy. Sometimes they don't know what the parents are trying to do. So this miscommunication, and it's also because like you meet them once in 3 months or 6 months, whatever the structure of the school is, like you don't really get to speak all the things that you may want to convey. So when it is a professional meeting, like even if it's not like we have the one thing that we're very clear about is that we have different channels of communication. So we have a WhatsApp group, we email, and of course we have the portal, and we have methods in which, like, of course we call. So whatever method suit for the team, we kind of try to facilitate that. So the schools are having to kind of have that comfort that okay, we know this child is being taken care of. So that's the only feeling that we want to give the school, not to change anything.
Do you think the schools get threatened the moment somebody from the outside of them trying to change the systems?
That's what I'm trying to say. We don't want to change any system. So it's just that we want to ensure that there is a communication channel.
So how do they accept, how do the schools react essentially if somebody from the outside is coming and trying to intervene for the child who's an inclusive, because they already have someone like a counselor or somebody who's already working with them.
Correct.
So I'm not going to go that about the efficacy of the counselor.
Right.
But which is the best team according to your experience in a school setup, which is very helpful for the child to grow in the school as well?
Right.
What is the best team?
So see, the best team is not available in the school normally. I'm sorry. So because it is very individual, so the best teams are available, and it's I think our responsibility to put together the best team for the child also.
If you have to choose the team members, what will be?
That's what we do. We choose the school, team members, and we will be kind of able to facilitate that. See, the school has its own structure, and you cannot expect it's too much for the school to facilitate the best team for, say, the 4,000 children that they are going to have. So they have a best team that can cater to
those are teachers, but I'm saying that you have a very different approach towards the
even
child.
then, we are saying even the teachers are fine. Like, sometimes you just don't need a therapist. Even the teachers are enough. But my point here is like how much of what the teacher is struggling is being articulated. Does the teacher even have a space to say out all these things? So, like you asked, the best thing that we have heard from teachers is that I know I have a space to come and tell my struggles. Like sometimes, like, because as a teacher, the child is your responsibility. You can't go and complain to the management or anybody saying that I don't know how to handle this child. And even if you complain, they may not know how to
Address it.
yeah, so they are being given a space where they are able to articulate their challenges, and this is a space where there are other professionals, and where we exist. Where if it is something that needs to be addressed at home, like for example, like there was a child who consistently used to have toilet accidents at the school, and it was too much for the child to handle, and we came to know it was because the child was fed something in the morning which caused this kind of reaction. So the simple thing was to fix the breakfast. If we had not been there, this correlation would not have happened. So the simple thing we had to say is to change the breakfast for the child. You're not having the accidents anymore. There is no stress on the school. So these are simple things that we need to facilitate so that there is a relief. So there are challenges that the children do have, which needs a lot more effort. Also, I'm not saying that everything is hunky dory, but then at least there is a space where the schools can communicate all these things. And you had the right question of asking are the schools open? There are schools that are open. They do see value in it. There are definitely schools that are quite sticky to their own set of rules, and they don't want to as well. But we are open as long as the school is open. And as far as the therapists are concerned, we only have two requests. One is to basically be open to sharing information with the parents' consent to us, and the second thing is to ensure that they do not do closed door therapy. So these are the two asks that we have from the therapists, whoever we want to work with. Other than that, we are open to work with anybody. So generally, we have tuition teachers, art teachers, music teachers. So it's not like we are only.
You had ABA also?
No, we don't have ABA.
You don't believe in it?
I was thinking ABT.
One more point, just as we brought in school and therapies, is that we are not telling that there is no communication happening between the therapy or the school or the parent. It is definitely happening in a more structured way, that it has to happen, because each of them have their own protocol, own emotional baggage. Because in the morning when a parent comes to drop the child to the school, they may be in a different mindset, and the teacher who comes rushing to the school, they may be in a different mindset, and whatever we communicate can misfire. So, but when we put it in writing, say it in a meeting, in a professional way, the same content strikes differently. So we are not saying that if you are not there, the communication doesn't happen, but we are facilitating a more smooth, structured communication, so that both of them are going understanding what is happening in the other end.
Correlated also.
Yes, correlated also. Sometimes they missed to see this point. Even maybe the school would have found out what is happening maybe a little later. But when we see it on a regular basis, we just have a chance of finding it earlier and solving the problems.
And I think that's when the school also listens to you, because there are breakthroughs.
Yes.
It takes time. We have been swimming against the current for a long time. It takes time. It's all about being patient.
Superb.
Thank you.
Superb. I think we have covered almost everything. And one last question. According to you, which curriculum, or you can say which board is the best for? Because I think one of the interviews which I did, with someone who is a pretty big authority in the dyslexia space, she said CBSE is by far the best. I don't know about the other boards, because I also have studied from the CPSE board. Which board did you guys go to?
State board.
State board. I think that's tougher, right?
Right now it's tougher, yeah. When we studied, it was more of memorizing. Yeah.
Memorized. So mostly memorizing.
Yeah, it was memorizing. But I think it is again individual. So when we do our mapping in the beginning, the recommendation, that's one of the things that we do.
You also recommend the board?
Yeah.
Really?
Sometimes,
yeah. Depending upon if it is a middle school child, definitely.
Yes, definitely. Even for the early education, for example, if a child has ADHD to a significant level, we normally don't recommend, say, Montessori kind of a setting to begin with, because it's a very structured setting. The child is going to be all over, and it may be a stressor for the teacher as well as for the child. The child may need a more confined space with with a little bit more of a rule-based or a
For ADHD?
distraction-free kind of a setting can be more conducive unless the child settles a little bit. So these are simple things. It also depends. Like, I'm not saying that you cannot have Montessori for ADHD at all, but I'm saying, like, to a significant level, and if the teachers are not equipped to, or they're not aware of such things, it'll be a shock to them, because theirs is a very structured kind of a thing, and children are supposed to learn by doing.
Right.
The way children with ADHD may learn by doing is also going to be different. So that is something that may be a mismatch. So when we see the child, we get to know what can probably regulate this child, and we normally recommend a space for the child, an environment for the child, basically.
And this is not with respect to the board exam or something like that.
Correct.
This is for the current situation the child is in.
Yes.
You're not looking at the academic point of view.
Correct.
Academic point of view comes in the middle age, where at the
Again.
school level, where again we look at the other parameters, like where the child has the difficulties, has strengths, as we were discussing earlier, and then map it.
And it's a process. It cannot be like a one-time answer that you can give. It's a process that we have to again prepare the parents for. Sometimes we know, say, CBSE works, but your child may need a little bit longer. Your child may not finish at 17-year-old. There may be a gap year. You may have to prepare for this. Or it can even be an NIVOS, but your subjects can be like that. It can be an IGCSE curriculum, but it is going to be with this accommodation and over a period of this time. So there's a lot of parameters that you may have to see in terms of time, in terms of the subjects, the interests that the child may be having, and as well as the accommodations that the child can get. For example, a child with dyslexia can probably get a scribe in an IGCSE board, or like a child with ADHD can get an extra time, or even a separate invigilation. Like, they need not ride with the entire population. Like, they can have a room where they can pace, or they are given certain accommodations in an IGCSE curriculum. So there are certain things that you need to see as a combination and then come up with things towards the exam. And it should be a planned one. It cannot be like suddenly you decide and you get stressed and then you pass on the stress and then you call a counselor. You don't want that ugly situation. Like, it has to be planned.
Because that's how chaos is. I think every Indian loves chaos.
Correct. I mean, you need not. I think you're conditioned that way. We need to learn to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Superb. I mean, it was very insightful, delightful conversation, and going with the theme of my channel. So thank you so much. Lovely insights, and I hope whomsoever is watching, please pin the comments, because we are sitting with the most creme de la creme educators here, and any kind of challenge, please put your questions on the comment box, and we'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It was really a pleasure interacting with you.